How many, since we have some new members, and I don't know all of you, how many of you have not turned a bowl? Completely. Who said that, Larry? Completely. Completely. Do I? Okay. What I'm going to do, this is going to be a two-part demo here, the turning part. What I'm going to do is kind of go through the steps I would as if I was rough turning a bowl to put on the shelf to dry and come back and twice turn down the road. But when I get to that point, I'm going to go to the next step and I'm going to turn it thin. About 3/32, maybe 1/16 or 3/32 thick all the way through, if I'm lucky, okay? Yeah, whistle when I get through, okay? Because I might not make it. But anyway, I'm going to turn it thin enough so I can pierce. This is some of my pierced items over here, so I want it to be fairly thin so I can pierce it with this dental tool. It does not, it won't work very well on thick material, so it needs to be thin in order to pierce it. Larry asked me a little while ago, is this something we can do when you get home? Can you turn this thin when you get home? Your first one might not be exactly what you want, but the second one's going to get better, and your third one's going to get better. It doesn't take a year. It doesn't take 12 years to do it. So one of the things I was going to say, and this kind of goes along with it, but I was going to say it at some point in time, turning, and you'll see what I'm talking about later, turning thin, whether you like turning thin or not. It doesn't. If you don't like doing all this, some people call it filigree. If you're not interested in doing this, then don't do that. But to turn it thin, to practice turning it thin, you're going to learn a whole lot about tool control. And tool control is what's necessary to turn thin. So you're going to learn, if you go home and turn thin, whether you like it or not, just turn thin, and you're going to understand when I say, when you hear the word ride the bevel, you're going to know what this means, because if you don't ride the bevel, you're going to have a uh-oh. Okay? So when you don't have a lot of room to play with there. So anyway, let me put my face shield on and see if y'all can hear me then. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, I'm going to start out. I've already kind of rounded this off to save a little bit of time. I'm going to got to make sure everything is tight. It's just going to. Not going to bother you right there, Gerald? Bother the screen? It's okay. I was going to go through several things of how I mounted this and how I cut it with the chainsaw and the bandsaw, but you have already got that part figured out. I'm going to start making a few little cuts, and I never start out by rounding this off. I'm not worried about rounding the bowl and getting this blank round. I'm going to start right here and start making this pull cut and making a radius to the outside. I'm trying to get my outside shape of the bowl. So I'm going to do this all in one sweeping motion. Not rounding this off at all, just kind of saves a few steps. I'm going to try to, what I do at home, and I don't know where these shavings are going to go. What I do at home, I try to teach myself to turn left-handed as much as I could, because when I'm turning right-handed, all of my shavings are going where? They're going right in my face. All this water is slinging on me, and I have ruined a smock. In fact, my wife looked at it yesterday, and she says, that needs to go in the trash can. It's pitiful. It's just brown right here and just nasty. Because of that, and don't have windshield wipers here, I started to turn left-handed, and I have a curtain behind my shop, behind my lathe. I have a curtain, and it catches all of my shavings. So now I started turning left-handed, and I'm not eating all the shavings that I was previously. This is when you like to have friends in the shop so you can spray them? Yeah. Especially if it depends on where they're standing, yeah. I did a demo a couple of years ago for the Craftsman Guild. And I was inside the wood studio, and I was turning a small bowl. And I had a high school art class in there. It was about 12 or 14 people, I guess. High school kids. And one little girl, when I got done, one little girl says, "I have a question." In fact, this little girl sit there and sketched a drawing of me up here with my face shield on and my bow gouge in my hand. She sketched a little drawing while I was turning. And when I got through, she says, "I have a question." And I said, "Okay." And she says, "Who cleans up all this mess when you get through?" And I said, "I do." She said, "This is not for me." So she's not going to clean anything up. Bowl turning was not her thing. Okay, if y'all can see this right here, this is going to be interesting. I've got a knot right there, and it comes out the face of it. So I'm probably going to have a hole in this bowl right there. That's okay. I'll pierce around it someday. And today I'm just going to turn. This bowl is green. It's saturated with water. And I'm just going to turn the shape of this inside and out. And I'll actually do the piercing on a drier bowl. But there's the knot. The piercing does not like to work with wet wood. It needs to be green. It needs to be dry. Sure.
I forgot to mention, especially for the new guys, we have a library.
Excuse me.
Books and stuff. You're walking to go through, check out. There's a piece of paper in there. You sign it out, bring it back next month. But there's a lot of different videos.
We have
other articles, stuff in there that is for the club to use.
a bottle of water.
We tend to forget to mention that. But yeah, it's right here in this box. So help yourself. Thanks, Sam.
Yes, sir. Okay, before I get carried away here, I'm going to go ahead and cut me an area for my tenon. Yes, I failed to mention that.
You're using the wing, right?
I'm sorry?
You're not using the bevel, you're using the wing to cut that.
Cutting the tenon. Yes, I am cutting the bottom of the wing. I'm not cutting just not hitting the bevel here, but I'm just plunging in. Yeah, y'all feel free to ask any questions. I can't tell, where's the camera? And what he was asking if I was using the wing. So I'm actually using this edge right here. I'm using the bottom of the wing, the bottom of the bow gouge with the flute closed. When it's like this, it's closed, this is open. So I have a closed flute. And I'm just trying to true up this tenon right here. I'm going to leave. I don't know if you can see this flat. Well, I was going to mark it with my pencil. This flat shoulder right here, I'm going to leave it. I want the face of my chuck to hit right there. Not as well as chucked on here, but I want the face of it to be pushed up against that shoulder. I'm gonna
Would
keep,
that be a scraping cut, Sammy? Or is it,
no, so the cut I was just making is called it's a shear cut. I'm on this. I'm on this edge again, but I'm not closed. I'm kind of open, about 3/4 open, and my handle is down, so it makes my tool up above center. And I'm just taking light cuts with this. I'm trying to refine this shape and get it all the tool marks out of it. A scrape. This is a shear cut. If I did the same thing but really, really light, that would be considered a shear scrape. And now you see the difference in the shavings coming off of it. Usually with doing it this way, you don't have too many tool marks, and it gets it pretty smooth. To do a scrape, I'm raising my handle back up, and the tool itself is pretty level, and I'm going to be in almost a completely closed position. And I'm going to drag it back, and I'm going to have to use my body with this. I'm using my body on all of my cuts, so I'm not moving my hands. I'm not moving my right hand's not moving at all. My body is just scraping it. And that will get it fairly smooth, but for me, I leave a few tool marks. I don't know if you can see those tool marks there, but I leave a few tool marks when I scrape. But if I do a shear cut, I don't get as many tool marks in there. And I want to try to get a shear scrape here and get this a little bit smoother if I can, even though it really doesn't matter at this point because I have to turn it around. When I turn it around, it won't be running true again anyway. I don't even know. I never checked the speed. Right now it says I'm doing 1500. I never check it. If I have to wrap my leg around the foot of it to hold on to it, to keep it from going out of the shop, I'm too fast. So. I'm going to take this out and put the my chuck on. Cherry.
When you cut it down to a 16th, 3/32, how long does it take to dry in this humidity temperature?
Dry enough to pierce, or dry enough to sand the next day. Dry enough to pierce the following day. Because it's so thin, it's gonna dry. It dries. It doesn't take much time at all. It's so dry. Question? Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna warp. Here's one. There's one thin enough, and I turned that one probably a week ago, so it's plenty dry, and you can see it's warped. It's definitely warped a little bit. I kind of like it warped. It's not gonna. You can't help. It's gonna warp. But if I don't want it to warp very much, if y'all will be careful with this, I'll pass it around. This one has warped. That one has warped, but I'm okay with it warping. I'm okay with that. I'm not worried about that warping.
wow. What you do, you tell them you turn it after.
That's right. But what I do, if I don't want it to warp very much at all, I'm sure everybody here has a drill press. And my table and my drill press has holes in it for mounting your vise and what have you. So I will take this and mount it up and just lay it on my drill press upside down on my drill press table and crank my drill press table up until it hits my chuck. And that's going to keep it flat. And the air gets on it on the outside and from the inside, so it's drying equally. And having pressure on it, it doesn't warp near as bad. So has very, very little warpage. But I don't care if that warps or not. I kind of like it being kind of crooked. In fact, sometimes I even cut some of it out to make it warp. I mean, make it look not round. Yes, sir.
Is dry wood even an option to do this then?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. There's a different technique for measuring. I'm going to show you here when we get started here. I'm going to use this light right here for my measuring purposes. I can't tell if this thing is coming off or not. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. I'm going to use this light to measure with, and where if you're using dry wood, you can't do that.
You have another minute?
What one?
Well, actually, I'm gonna give it to Joe Dove. Joe had an announcement I forgot to ask him to make earlier. Joe, stand up, you would, Joe. Let me see.
Herbert Johnson, former member of the club, is trying to clean out his shop in Yazoo County, and he's got a lot of wood, including some cherry, some walnut, and honey locust and other things. And he called me this week just to say he's not going to get around to using all of it. So if we want to have a few members from the club go up to Yazoo County, you got to have a native guide to find this place. It's out in the country. Maybe a couple of trucks and maybe get some wood for ourselves or for the club to raffle off and give new members and that sort of thing. So if you have an interest in going up there and do this CD or leave me your name on a card or something like that, I'll get with some folks and get with Herbert sometimes. It's good to go up and see what kind of wood he's got, and we'll probably have to bring a chainsaw or two with us. So just see me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Herbert always has some big, very large turnings. So the wood he has is probably going to be huge. Okay, are we ready?
Hope I didn't cut into your business too much here.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Okay, it is running pretty true. I'm kind of surprised. It's just a little bit out, but I'm going to come back and do another shear cut on the outside of this and see if I can get it smooth. This is my last chance to smooth out the outside of this particular bowl because I'm going to pierce it. Not today. I'm not going to pierce this one today because it's green wood, but eventually I'm going to pierce on this bowl, and I want it to be as smooth as I can get it while it's green. Before I start piercing on it, I'm going to sand it. But I don't want it's so thin. I don't want to have to do a lot of heavy duty sanding. So I'm going to try to get it as smooth as I can. Try to remove as many tool marks as I can. Here we go. I don't know how fast we're going. Guess. I don't know. So I'm going to take that shear cut again. I turned up my RPM. I'm slowing down my travel. So I can get a pretty decent finish on this. And I'm not even going to put, I brought a scraper. Sometimes I need to put a scraper on this. I'm going to leave that as it is. and we'll start on the inside. Any questions? Any comments? Nothing? Nobody? Matt, is everybody asleep? I'm going to spin it by hand and make sure. Yeah, I'm a little bit low. I want to make sure I'm not going to hit any part of my tool rest here. Okay. Any questions?
Sam, you might want to mention, you taught me, especially when you get to the end, about how slick your top of your tool rest needs to be. You let it get gummed up with crap or nicks in it. And I know when you get thin, it's something I think, I never thought about it.
Yeah.
You told me that it needs to be like ice.
And what he's saying is the top of your tool rest needs to be smooth. It needs all your little tick marks where especially your skew, some of your skews and the parting tools or have a sharp edge on them. They leave little dings in here. And especially on your last cut or turning thin, you want it to slide. I brought my file with me, even though the Robust has this very hard top on it. Sometimes it gets dings on the edges of it, and I've already taken care of that this morning with my file. Just rough it and get some of those little dings off of there. You want your tool rest to run smooth. You want your tool to run smooth on your rest. So it's going to help a lot if you file it down from time to time.
Sammy, I have found that if you rub your carnauba wax
Yep.
top,
It makes it slide even better. Yep. That's right. So waxing it makes it really glide, soft and easy, and you want that, especially now you're going to want that. And while you're talking about wax, a lot of people wax their bed. How many of you put wax on your bed to make it slide easy? Okay. In several of the classes that Tommy and I took, some of the demonstrators say don't use wax because the wax does not let your tailstock bite to your ways. And when you're cranking on your tailstock, if you ever notice your tailstock slides,
I haven't yet.
but if you do it hard enough, it's going your quill is going to come out. Your tailstock's going to be moving away from you. So it's slick enough, but it's too slick to bite. So I use WD-40, and WD-40 takes care of all your rust, all your debris, and it bites with a good tailstock. Okay, I'm going to start by making a few push cuts. I'll try to get this as smooth as possible, which is not necessary, but I do want it to be smooth when I get started. A push cut is not the only way to do it. You could do a pull cut, which is, I do both. It's not one over the other. They both work great. Now we'll see if I can make this without. I moved it back about as far as I could take it without it falling off. I might have another inch out of it, but that's going to be good, right? I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, I think that's going to give me some room. That's good. Yeah, I didn't want to. I'm going to need it again in a minute, so I'm too lazy to completely take it off. What I'm doing now is this is where it takes your body. On the inside of the bowl, you're going to have to use your body. You're not going to be able to do this just by moving your hand because your body gets in the way. See, I'm locked right here. See, I can't go any further without moving my hips. So you're going to have to use your body as you make this turn You're going to have to use your body in order to get your bow gouge into the bottom of the bow. Y'all can't see the inside of the bow very well, can you? I can't. I didn't figure you could. Sir? This one's going to work right here. Is that going to be in y'all's way right here?
Actually pretty good right there, Gerald. Light.
Well, it's gonna need something new.
Do what?
It's fun, I'll tell you.
All right, there's my knot. Okay. Now can y'all see it okay? Does it light it up a little bit?
Is that in your way?
Mm-hmm. We're going to do away with this one. That'll be okay. I'm going to turn the lights out in just a minute anyway. Thank you. Let me start over. This little tip might help you and help me as well to keep from doing what I just did when I let my tool skate on me and it kind of backed off. I'm going to start in an almost closed position, and I'm going to. Can y'all see with the tool itself?
Hang on a minute.
My bald head in your way?
No, your arm. There. Well,
Okay.
hang on a minute. You're good.
That washed it out, didn't it? The light's what's killing it.
Yeah, I thought I did. All right, go backward. Go ahead. That light's okay.
Okay. Can you see I'm almost in a closed position.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do it from afar. Okay, I'm almost in the closed position. As soon as I make that first little cut, I'm going to open it up just a little bit and continue this curve. Now I'm going to get back in my normal position so that now that I'm away from the light. All I'm doing is making small bowls that are similar to the shape of the outside of this bowl. I'm not going in and making a V. I'm making a radius just like the bowl. If sometimes on the raffle back here we have little small pieces of wood. I was playing with this the other day. I was doing a plunge cut, removing some wood. If you had a little small 6-inch or a 5-inch bowl blank, or a small, very thin blank, and you didn't know what to do with it, you could do something like this, and just use your bow gouge, and have a very small bowl. You can have a very small opening and let that be your bowl. It just gives a little decorative. It's good practice, but I'm going to take it off. This makes a good eraser. Again, if I want to start that tip right there, I want to put my thumb kind of on the bow gouge and the rest itself. And that will keep that from skating on me. because there's nothing worse than a finished bowl or a platter, and you let that tool escape, it messes up the rim you just made. When I'm and Craig will remember this. I don't know if it worked for him or not, but if I have someone coming over and doing one of those grants through the Mississippi Arts Commission, I'll put a magic marker, a red marker in the flute, and I also put on this way right here, I'll have a 45 and a 45. So when I start, I'm about at a 45. My handle is almost at a 45 from the wood, and when I finish this cut, I will be on a 45 on the other side. Does that make sense? So you need to start here and you're gonna finish here. If you just go in right here and plunge in, when I'm touching the bevel, right here I'm touching the bevel, but if I push it, if I curve too fast, I'm gonna come off the bevel and then I'm not cutting. Or if you're too much of the bevel and if you don't go straight, then you're gonna start cutting real thick. Getting a big heavy cut, and then you're gonna come to the side of your bowl right here, or it's gonna get very thin. The rule of thumb for roughing out a bowl, roughing out a green bowl, what is it, Bill? Where's Bill? Do you remember what it is? No?
He needs remedial classes.
The rule of thumb for roughing out a green bowl is 1 inch, 10%, yeah, 10% of your die for twice turning, yes. If you're gonna turn this again after it dries, then you want to turn to where your wall thickness is 10% of your outside diameter. So if I'm 7 inches here, I want roughly 3/4 of an inch wall thickness. And that's pretty much the same all the way through. I'm going to pretend like that is 3/4 of an inch, and I'm done with roughing out that bowl. So I would break the edges right here. If this was a green bowl, I was going to put on the shelf. I would break those two corners because that's going to be the first two places that wants to dry the fastest because you're at a sharp edge. I'm going to take it out and I'll seal with end grain sealer inside and out just right here on the end grain on both sides right here. And that's going to go. I'm going to date it, put what kind of wood it is, and I'm going to put it on the shelf. In 6 months, you can come back and turn it and let it warp, and it will be you'll have a finished bowl. And I will go through the same process I did earlier with that particular piece. Yes, sir.
Show them what you measured that with. Your
The good Lord gave us some of the best pair of calipers we have. Right here. This works great on a small bowl. This works great on a small bowl. Bigger bowl, no. Okay, does everybody own a pair of figure-8 calipers? Yes, sir.
You let it dry, do you put it in paper or you just put it on the shelf by itself?
I have a storage room behind my shop. It's not climate controlled. It's 100 degrees in the summer and 45 degrees in the winter. And I put that seal bowl just on that shelf, and I don't have any cracking problems. Y'all can't see this, can you? You can't see this end of it. So the figure-8s, whatever. Where are we?
It's this camera right here. I believe.
hang on a second. There you go, right there.
Okay. If your figure-8s get off, they're easy to adjust. But when they touch, you want them to touch if this end, you're looking at this end right here, if it's touching, you want to make sure this end is touching as well. If not, you're going to have a little difference in your measurement. And these are touching. Anyway, they're touching right there, and they're touching right here. So they are calibrated, tested and approved and calibrated. They're good to go. So whatever measurement I have right here, that's how thick my bowl is all the way through. And I'm 5 thousandths thicker on the bottom than I am up here. And that's close enough. That's that's close enough. I'm going to use these some more though, so I'm going to need that. Okay, any questions on roughing out a green bowl? Yes, sir.
You said you seal just the ingrained portion of the bowl?
You can do the whole thing. You can do the whole thing. It's not going to hurt anything. The end grain is going to dry fast. It's going to try to dry faster than the side grain. So I want to slow that drying process down. So I will seal the end grain inside and out, date it while it's wet, put it on the shelf.
What do you seal with?
End grain sealer. It's called end grain sealer. You can get it from Woodcraft, any place like that.
Yeah, just as a point of interest, we have a gallon and raffle off.
This is the reason I looked at you. I wanted to make sure you did get that.
Yeah, I did.
Good, good. This stuff is not as expensive as gasoline, but it's,
This is a
well,
generic container, but we got this in Tennessee also, that we're gonna raffle off. Get it. You can also use white glue.
That's what I was thinking.
mhm.
You can get it, it's
Elmer's glue.
whatever, but this is a little bit different than that. So this is something we also got, but we're just gonna do that in the regular raffle in April.
It might also be useful, especially for some of the beginning turners, to let them know you need to seal it pretty quick after you turn it.
Yeah,
Some woods are locked,
yeah. Some woods are. Yeah, you're right.
split.
Cherry is known to crack pretty quickly. Walnut is very forgiving. Walnut lasts a lot longer before you have to seal the ends of it. But cherry, any kind of fruit wood, really is going to crack pretty quick. But if I'm doing like I'm doing a class in September, a beginning bowl turning class in September at John C. Campbell, and I had to rough out 15 bowls the other day. So I did these in steps. I did all of them in the outside of it, and then I covered them up with this tarp, this bag, and then I came back and I did the inside and finished however many I could finish in a day's time. And then I sealed those and put them on the shelf. And the next day I started over. You need to seal them pretty quick.
I've heard of using latex paint if we all have cans of paint.
Yeah, latex paint. Latex, I've tried that several years ago, and latex just didn't. It didn't do it. It didn't do it. But this ingrain sealer works pretty good, and I have started using paraffin wax. To me, paraffin wax works way better than the ingrain sealer.
You can do a whole bunch of
Yes, and it costs me nothing because every Christmas my wife gets the candles out of the attic and they're all melted. So they all go in my electric skillet that I stole out of the kitchen cabinets, and I put all the candles in my electric skillet. And if I'm doing this, I'll just dip them in that skillet and turn it around, and they're done. It works great. Works great. Any question? And it smells good.
I think I heard you say you pre-turn those bowls for your class, and then the next day turned them down some more?
No, what I did is one morning I turned the outside of, say, 6 bowls. And that afternoon I turned the inside of all 6 bowls. And then, so now it's at this stage right here.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they were all 6 of those were like this. And so I sealed them and put them up on the shelf. And the next day I started over with the next batch. Yeah, the next batch. Yeah, yeah. Because the class I'm teaching, we're going to be doing green bowl turning, but at the end of the week, I want them to have a dry bowl to take home. So that's what that's for. So, any more questions? Now I'm going to start turning one little section at a time, and better leave that on for right now. I'm going to start turning and getting some of this fairly thin. And I'm not going to go very far at one time. If y'all have any questions, please. Oh, John, I'm so sorry.
You're a good shot, though.
I hate that.
I know. You gotta know when you sit here.
The reason I'm leaving it thick in the bottom, I need some mass to stop any vibration. And it's going to vibrate at some point in time, but I want to minimize it as much as I can. Okay, I'm only going to cut. I'm stopping right there. I'm not going to go. Did anybody even notice that I had just blue tape on my bow gouge? Anybody notice why I had that? That's number one and number two. At this point, I would go to my grinder. It's time for me to go sharpen my tool.
I was about to ask you, because I would have to sharpen by now.
Yes, it's time to sharpen,
Especially with cherry.
especially on the inside. Going on the inside, this is going to be the finish of it. So, this is my dull tool, and number two is my sharp one. Because I didn't want to drag the grinder out.
Just a fresh grind.
I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to drag the grind. It's the exact same tool, same grind, everything. It's just you want me to sign that?
Well, if I do a little work on it, we can make it collaborate.
Yeah.
We're gonna just get you set up for when you get to the end.
Okay. Any questions? Bill, you got it. There's not supposed to. There's not supposed to be any traffic in this area.
Just a question, do you use the one-way jig or you use a Tormac? How do you sharpen? What do you like to sharpen?
I have a Delta grinder, variable speed, variable speed, and I keep it as low as it'll go, which is around 1,700 RPM. And I use the Wolverine grinding jig, that one-way thing. Yeah. Did my bowl make it in one piece all the way around?
No, I got lost.
Did my bowl make it all the way around in one piece?
It's safe Friday.
Say,
I think that fellow that left early might have taken it.
hey,
You leave your can slightly bigger too. Isn't that gonna be the first thing you're gonna do when you
you're right. Good point. Good point. Thank you for mentioning that.
explain how you put it back on the way, you touch up your pin and you get it turned around?
Wow, but that's a great chance to do that.
Repeat the question, Sam.
The question was, when I'm doing this, when I'm turning it green, do I make my tenon larger than normal? And I do. The tenon needs to be a little bit larger.
You're gonna take some off.
Yeah, because once I don't have a green bowl. Anyway, yeah, but it's already finished. I was thinking I had. Anyway, if I take this bowl off and it's going to dry, it's going to warp, and it's going to make that tenon egg shape just a little bit. When I turn it back, once it's dry, does everybody have a jam chuck at home? Just anything that you can jam up your wood to. I'm going to put this in the chuck, and this part, the bowl is going to fit up nice and snugly up against this. And my tailstock is going to come in here where in the mark that I had previously had. So now it's going to be running fairly true, other than the warpage. I'm going to come in here and clean that tenon up, nice and clean, just like this one was. Get the warpage out of it, I'm gonna try to reshape the outside. Then I'm gonna take it off and turn it back around and put it back in the chuck. And now I'm ready to turn the inside. So it's all gonna be running true. Sir? Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, don't turn off the part that has a little hole.
No, the part that has the little nib in the bottom, which is in the very bottom of this chuck, leave it on there. Yes, sir?
I'm just waiting.
Okay.
If it's in your way or not.
No, we're okay.
Okay. Well, when you get ready to do the other, we may have to move it a little bit. I was just waiting.
Okay. Can you hit that light switch when you go by? Right there, please. Okay. This is probably a little over an eighth wall thickness right here. Gotta stand that little burr off there so I can kind of see what I'm doing here.
What do you need, Joe? Some-
Now I don't know what the camera is showing.
We'll get the other.
Yeah, right here. This point right here is going to turn orange in just a minute. And that's what I'm going to go judge my wall thickness with. The light's going to come through that wet cherry. And it will become orange. Uh-oh. There's what I did not want to do. But I'm going to clean that up while I'm here. What's that?
I said, that makes me feel a little bit better to see you do it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I'm trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Keep it out his way.
When you're turning that and you're watching to see the walls turn orange from the light,
Yes.
your tool is on the wood, are you?
My
your
tool,
eyes on the tool and the wood, or your
I'm
eyes
looking
on
at the light.
You're looking.
I'm looking at the light. I'm looking over here. So I can tell by the light what I need to do with the tool. If I'm going too deep. Now, I guess you could put the light on this side and look at this side of it just as well.
You guys see that?
I'm just going to take a,
Remember Chris Ramsey when he did his cowboy hat?
yeah.
He had the light somehow hooked to the inside of it.
Just keep it on. We good? I moved it right back where it goes to. Okay. I just measured this with my calipers. I don't really trust my scale when I put it up there, so I like to get a good start, and I can go with this color all the way through. And I'm a little bit less than 3/32 of an inch right there. So I'm going to try to maintain that color all the way through. All right, now I'm looking, to answer your question, I am looking at okay, take a little bit off of this. Okay, I see a little, I don't know what you can see on the camera, I see a little color coming through there from here. I see the knot hole coming through.
Ah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yes, the knot.
yeah.
Thank goodness.
You thought the outside diameter and inside diameter were the same?
Or the inside was bigger than
Okay, I have just,
the outside.
Can you slide the
You like it?
That's good.
Deal too, there's signing this is going around, if you have not marked yourself present under February, please do that on signing, this is going to keep track of the loss.
Would you do that for me, because I failed to do it?
We'll do it.
Who is it? You want to sign? What's his name?
Jim Bob. I'm going to take just a little bit more off of this area right in here, and then I'm going to put my scraper in there. I don't know if y'all have noticed or not, but I turned my RPM down a little bit. If I had stayed at the same RPM, the wood would have started flexing, and every time when it flexes, it's going to be egg-shaped just a little bit, and my tool's just going to get chatter through there, so it's not going to be a good clean cut at all.
Ben Flo at this point often used the scraper, if I remember.
He what now?
Ben Flo used the scraper at this point.
He did, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. In fact, I'm going to use the same scraper that he was selling. You remember that when he came and demoed for us?
I have one.
He was said, "You want to sell it?"
No.
Okay. I know you're not using it, so I figured you'd sell it.
I know how, I just can't.
I know. I just knew you weren't. I mean,
Yeah, well, hopefully that.
since he hadn't paid his dues, I guess that means he's not turning anymore, doesn't it? Okay. I'm going to. Do I need to wait? Do I need to hold up?
Money I made up.
You just try and get it like, make it easier.
What tool are you about to use?
I was just getting ready to say, Ben Fo is a guy from Vietnam that does thin. He died. He passed away 5-6 years ago, and he did some very, very thin turning, and he pierced, and he did airbrushing also on his pierced pieces. He came to our club. I think Tommy James was the president then, I believe.
I got him.
You got him? Good. I didn't know who got him, but was Tommy the president at the time or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he came to the craft center and demoed for us one day, and he was selling this particular scraper for some guy that he knew that had passed away, and his wife was letting Ben Fo continue to sell his pieces, his scraper. And I bought one. I was a sucker for it, and it worked good for him. So I figured I'd give it a try, and I bought it, and I cannot find out who made it. I cannot find it online anymore, but at the symposium, I don't know if you noticed it or not, at the symposium, there was a guy in January at the TAW, there was a guy there selling a tool that looks almost just like this, and it works really good.
He sold me a real bad one because it kept going through the wall.
You ought to sue him. You ought to sue the guy. Yes, question. Okay, there was two questions going on. What was it?
What's the difference in the scraper that Ben Fo sold you and the one you bought? Ben Fo sold it.
Yeah, Ben Fo sold it. If I were to use, I didn't even bring my other scraper. I have a round nose scraper, a full round nose scraper, that to me is too big to get in this small of an area. This one, you can get in there pretty easy and only.
You want Where do you want?
There's a negative rate.
Right there. Go back right where you were. Go back where you were. Now.
Where was I?
Over the tool.
Is that a carbide deal? Is that replaceable?
It is. Yeah, but it'll last you forever and ever.
This was before.
You do sharpen it, but you're just taking 1,000 or 2 off of it every time.
This was before negative rates.
Yes.
The big
Yes.
move towards-
It was before the negative rate, but I'm going to use this below center so it serves the same purpose as a negative rake. So you'll see when I get started. Negative. One more question? Oh, I doubt it. Is Ben Fo's demo on our website?
That was in the VHS era.
Wow. And that was probably in
Would have been the only one would have had copies.
It was probably in 2008 when he came here, so it's been a while. But anyway, the other guy that I can't think of that Phil, do you know the name of that guy, that vendor?
No, you told me.
His name is Todd Raines, but I don't know the name of his business. Anyway, can y'all see this in here? Good. I might go through the bowl right here.
Does that work, Gerald?
Better.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It changes my light, but that's okay.
Oh, it's messing your light?
Leave it on. I'll make it work. I'll have an excuse if I go through the bowl. I do have to move my tool rest though, so I may have to move the light. Okay.
There's a couple of info demos on YouTube.
PHO. There you have it.
One more time, please.
Wood turning tool store. No S's.
He sells this exact tool without the handle. It's just the shaft itself. And what's different about his is the other side is already ground for a flat scraper. Where am I? This back side, the back side of his has already been ground. So you can use it as a flat scraper for the outside of your bowl. You can just loosen the set screw, turn it around, and okay. We were talking right before I got started. This right in here, this area right in here, where I am right now, is the hardest transition for everybody to get used to turning the bowl. That's where you're going to go through the side if you're not careful, because you want to cut in instead of making that continuous curve. And that's the most dangerous point right there. Do you have a question, Rob? No. Okay.
There's also a point where your light isn't shining through.
I'm sorry?
Isn't there also a point where your light stops really warning you because it starts to get...
As you get down closer to the bottom, now you're getting more in grain showing than you do the side grain, so you have variation in color. Now right here, for all of you that are, everybody that has been turning, I guess you could probably be turning for 2 weeks, but you've heard the word rub the bevel, the words rubbing the bevel. I am not rubbing the bevel. I'm kind of kissing the bevel. If I rub the bevel very hard, it's going to put way too much pressure on the wood, and it's going to make it flex. And I don't want it to do that, so I am just lightly touching the bevel. All we like is finishing. Got a step right there. I got a little shoulder right there I need to get out. Right there. One more cut, right?
One last cut.
That's good. I'm not even going to scrape that. I'm going to leave that as I'm going to leave that well enough. Any questions? But y'all got me trapped in here with all these lights, all these cameras. So I feel I'm trapped. Do what?
We got it down, you can just watch the camera, don't have to watch the bowl.
I'm trying not to touch your camera with my shoulder. I need to move my tail over.
You want me to move it more?
You can move that one out of the way, we're not using it right now.
The light? Is that what's in your way?
No, this right here.
Just push it back toward
I'll just move it just a little bit. Is that okay? Yeah, I'm good. As John was saying earlier, the light coming through this wood at this point is going to start changing because of the position of the wood, the ingrain, more ingrain so than I had in the past. So,
Sammy, as
Yeah.
the wood dries, does that change the color?
yes. Somebody asked me a while ago, can you use dry wood? You can, but you can't use the light for a source for thickness. You're gonna have to depend on these. But yes, some of these pieces over here, well, yeah, 2 of those were done dry wood. So you can be done, but
I mean, while you're turning, as it dries, because that light is drying the wood out, is
Yeah.
that changing your color that you're seeing too?
no,
Doesn't?
it's not. It's too wet to change the color, but it's dry enough to where I'm beginning to feel a little. Yeah. So this is a point. This is what you want to kind of start and finish all at one time. I turn my phone off. I lock my door so my wife won't come in. I don't need any interruptions because this is going to change. It'll change everything. Okay. I don't know if you can see this gauge, this caliper. No. Okay. Okay, I'm okay until I get right in here. I still have some more to go. There's my color. Just one more cut. Now, this is where I'm going to run into a problem with the light. the light will not come through the tenon or the chuck. So at this point, when I get down to about 2.5 inches and right here, at this point right here, the light's not going to shine through it anymore. So the rest of this is, I'm on my own. I've got to try to feel the flow of this curve, and I have got to continue that by just feel with my hands. So I'm going to try to make that cut and flow with the same, what I have here.
How far down are you here? Because that might relieve you.
That's cheating.
That's cheap.
That's cheating. You want to? I might want
Remember
to.
who I am?
I might. See, I'm going to want to pierce all the way to the bottom with like that bowl right there, all the way to the foot. So it, hey,
When you're going down there, how much pressure would you say you're pushing on that gal? Is it just like feather light touching the wood?
yeah. They're talking about the touching the bevel touching the wood. Yeah, it's just very, very minimal. Yeah, very, very light. Okay, so here I'm going to rub, I'm floating. You can tell the bowl is changing shape. But you can hear it just bouncing off of that, off of my bevel. I got a little step right there, so I got to keep on going till I take that step out. That's nice. I like that. It's good. Almost done with the inside. So let's. What, sir? That's enough. I'm going to scrape. I'm going to scrape. I got two little dimples right in the bottom, so I'm going to run my scraper in there and stop right there, and that should be. I'm going to call that quits. I'm going to call it done for the time being. Who took a deep breath? I need to do that myself. Okay, Larry, would you hit the light switch for me for a minute? Yeah, on this large bowl over here, that was a something I had to do in a hurry, but not too big of a hurry, because it was beginning to change shape as I was going through. I'm going to hand you this right quick light, but I'm fixing to have to use it again in just a second.
Sammy, you may have mentioned it, and I didn't hear it, but when you're going in a little bit at a time, you don't want to go back to the rim.
No, you don't want to go back to the rim. Once I've done with the scraper, once I'm done with that, I'm not going to ever go back to that.
Your bowl's flexing
Yes, it starts to change. Everything changes.
and warping.
Right. Yes, sir.
What, about what angle is this bowl gouge ground at?
I think 44 point.
Oh, well.
No, I don't.
Flat, like a 55?
It's probably closer. Does anybody have an angle gauge here? It's probably. I'm going to say it's probably. I don't check it. I checked it the other day. Bill, was that you and I that checked it the other day? What was it? Do you remember? That's twice you didn't remember anything, Bill. Okay. I need my bowl back. Okay. Thank you, Larry.
You'll have to get your own bowl from now on.
Okay. So that's pretty even all the way through. It's about the same. It's about the same color, same wall thickness all the way around. So that's good. Now if we can get the bottom like that, we're okay. I didn't bring my regular jam chuck, but if you don't have a jam chuck, y'all need to make you a jam chuck. But I made this, I forgot to do something. I made this jam chuck for turning thin. Like I told you earlier, I cannot see the bottom at all. So I made this special jam chuck with the flashlight in the bottom of it. So now the flashlight's gonna come through here, and I'm gonna be able to see the light. Let me make sure I'm running true. I'm going to be able to see the light. No, he'd say, Sam, boy, me and you need to make one of those. Meaning me. I can't apply very much.
You buy that flashlight.
You're right. Okay. Larry, would you hit that light switch one more time?
Would a vacuum truck do it as well?
It's so thin, it'll probably suck it in two.
Yeah.
It's so thin, it'll collapse it.
And it also might be porous.
Yeah, it'll leak a lot too. That
Yeah. Now I can see. Can y'all see right here? I can see a little bit of light right here with the flashlight, but I cannot see this at all. So I'm going to have to turn this down. I'm going to leave a small foot and try to get it thin enough. And in fact, I'm probably going to leave the bottom a little bit thicker on purpose. I don't want it to quite be so light. I want it to be able to sit on the table just a little bit. I'll turn this on just for a second to make a few cuts here. I'm rubbing that bevel that on the part that I've already turned. I wish I had a grinder. I would go back to the grinder right here. I don't see any light shining through, so that's a good thing. Okay, I can see light. Can you guys see that coming through there?
turn your overhead lights off so that
Okay. At this point, we're getting closer to either finish or destroy, one or the other. Cross your fingers and your legs, John. I'm using, you probably can't see this in the dark, I'm using my 3/8 spindle gouge. Just to make a little radius for that foot. I am going to do a little scraping right here. Okay. I don't see any light coming through there, so that's a good thing. Okay. I'm going to stop right there as far as the foot goes.
Hope your battery doesn't die while you're doing this.
Oh man. Yeah, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I'm going to put a little chamfer on this foot while I'm here. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but if I didn't, if I did, I'm going to repeat it. But really and truly, and I'm not blowing smoke. If you're having trouble with your bow gouge, if you can't get a good cut or good finish with it, I highly recommend practicing turning thin. Even if you don't care anything about this, about turning thin at all, it will give you better control of your tool. And that's what it's all about. The better control you got, the less sanding. And I know everybody loves to sand, right? So, okay, I almost just cut the little nib off, and I wasn't quite ready for that. It did get quiet, didn't it? I'm going, what's wrong?
That was a lot of prayer.
Okay. Okay, sir? Did I make a, no, I didn't make a funnel. No.
Right there, Sam.
Oh,
Oh, no, go ahead, turn it. No, you're good.
can you see? No, you can't see good. I left the bottom a little bit thick, so that's good. So that one is, that one's ready to pierce. That one's ready to pierce. All right. Now I don't have any way to turn my flashlight off other than my knockout bar at home won't go deep enough, but this one may. Y'all might end up missing a knockout bar. Hey, look at that. Mine's too. I'm gonna make one.
What is that, silicone around that flashlight to hold it?
Yes, yeah. No, it's
Epoxy?
it's a yeah. It's the glue stick, the glue gun, just a hot glue. Thank you. That's all that is hot glue. Okay, we're gonna have to make a transition with the cameras from here. And there's not a hole in there, Herbert. Just quit looking for it. we're gonna make a transition from here with the cameras from here to the table. So now's a good time. Take a break if you need one. Using a dull tool. I thought it was sharp. And after he sharpened it for me, and I started turning the rest of the week, I took the elbow brace off. I threw it away. Haven't ever had to use it again. So I was applying 3 times more pressure than I actually needed to, because just like turning with a lawnmower blade, it just won't cut. And so sharpening really, really, really enhances makes your turning so much easier. Well, this thing feels awkward. It feels like my ears inside out or something. My ears stick out anyway, so I don't need any. I got it. That's just good. I got it. Okay. How about that?
It's a hard wire.
Okay. Now, is that better? No? Better? How about it?
Yeah.
That sound better, Vanna?
Come on, Pat.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, all right. Yeah. The piercing tools, the piercing tool that I use is called the Presto NSK. NSK is the manufacturer name, and Presto is the model number of this thing. And it operates it turns about 320,000 RPM. Does anybody here do any piercing at all? I know Phil does, and Craig, you want to, don't you? NSK.
Dave,
Started piercing yet.
You haven't? Oh, well, that's good. That's good. This little tool is it's fascinating what you can do with this guy. I have forgotten what this thing cost. You can get them from Tree Line. I don't know what other companies sell them.
99, I think.
How much?
That setup that I traded with you, I think it's
$3.99
$3.99.
for the whole thing. That includes
Yeah.
this guy right here. Okay, so there you go. You have to have you need a regulator, and you need a kind of a rheostat up here, and you need a gauge. And 28 to 32 psi is what is recommended for this particular unit. Too slow, it's going to bog down on you. Too fast, it's going to burn your bearings up on the inside of your turbine on the inside here. So you want to stay at 28, 32 psi. There is a guy by the name of Captain Eddie. Have y'all heard of Captain Eddie? Yes. On YouTube? Captain Eddie has a video out there for piercing on the cheap, I think is the name of it. It sounds like piercing on the cheap. And Phil and Gerald, don't you have one of these too? Okay. And Dave. Okay, this is the piercing on the cheap tool that you can get online, Amazon.com, for about $40. And Phil made his own. I don't know where the camera is. Right here. Phil made his own. All of his own goodies. He's got the valve, he's got the hose, the regulator, the gauge on here. Same setup as this right here, but he probably did it for another $40 at Home Depot, maybe another $40. Harbor Freight. So you can do it. You can do it fairly reasonable if you don't want to invest a lot of money.
The big difference is you look at Sammy's, it's straight.
Yeah, this is more of a dental tool, and mine's a straight, more like a pencil. And I would imagine, I have not used this, but it would probably be a learning curve for me since I'm used to using this.
And you can get that angle tool for about $20 on eBay.
This right here at $20 on
It is an
eBay.
NSK.
There you
$20 on eBay.
What's it called?
It is an NSK.
NSK.
Real is what it is.
NSK.
Well, actually, that's an NSK also.
There you go. See, it's just a different model number,
That one
but it is an NSK.
I got from Amazon, and when I got it, it was probably about $20. I looked this morning.
So you can't.
Two of them for $88 or something. I think. So
Yeah. So you can get these fairly cheap. I wish I fit in.
try it if you want.
I don't think my air connector is not the same as yours.
Oh, okay.
I have a special.
Yeah, you're special.
No, I am special. My wife would tell you that. I have a special tool insert for my air hoses that I got from work that are that are different than what you have. So I didn't steal them or anything. They were just there, you know. But anyway, this would work. So this is something to look at. I buy my I tell this and I laugh. I buy my burrs from. You can get these at Tree Line or anywhere where you can buy this unit. They sell these burrs for like $2.50 a piece. I got on a place. I looked it up, and the name of it is I was not going to forget this. Gold, goldburrs.com. Goldburrs.com. And I had to fill out my paperwork, and they will call me, and I order these things for, and you buy a pack of 100, which is what I did. They're 99 cents a piece. So, and I have broken a few, but I said, I'm going to spend $100 on this, and I got these burrs. So I have 100, not quite 100 now, but they call me from time to time and say, Dr. Long, do you need any more burrs? So, so I guess I didn't know I'd let them know that I didn't tell them I was a doctor, but
The cool thing about ordering through Gold Burrs is that 2 or 3 people could go together.
Oh, yeah.
It means you're not spending $100. because
Absolutely.
We're not gonna use them probably as much as Sandy does.
I don't use them all that much anymore, but you can buy. I also bought the little balls that I do the it's this little bitty ball that I do the texturing with, and they come in all different sizes. And I bought some of those as well.
So the actual piercing you do, Sandy, is pretty much you use the same burr on all your piercings?
Yes, same burr, same. This burr right here is the number 699. 699, and I don't know how close up you can see. It is actually a tapered. It's a tapered. Can you? It's blurry. The television is blurry to me. Can y'all see? It's a tapered. It's called a tapered fissure. F-I-S-U fissure. Fissure. It's number 699, tapered fissure, and to fit one of these right here, it has to be an FG, which means friction grip. They have several different numbers in front of the 699, but the FG is the one that fit these tools. And these are 2 different burrs that I have used. You can see one of them is very, very small. Is that showing up at all?
Yeah. I passed around some of mine, they're not the same.
Okay.
But just so you know.
Good, good.
I think I got mine from Amazon.
Okay. The way this thing goes in here is you slide it in right there as far as it'll go. And when you buy if you get this unit right here, it comes with this handpiece. And you just push it in. I very seldom use this. It unlocks, but in fact, it's going to throw this burr out. You just twist it, and the burr comes out, and it interchanges. Pretty easy.
And on the other one, it's a button on the back of the head that you press.
Yep, right here.
That releases it.
Yep. But what I usually do is I put the burr in because I usually can't find this thing. It's not where I want it, so I just snap it in right there. Yeah, I can't find this guy all the time. Before I start any piercing, most of y'all have already seen this, and I used this yesterday on one of these. But this is a print of a leaf that I printed out on my. I have 2 printers at home. One is called the inkjet, and what is the other printer?
Laser.
Laser. I'm thinking this was printed on the laser. If this only works on the laser printer, this is the this is called the blender, sir. I'm moving all over the place, aren't I?
Just stay right where you were.
You got to keep up, Gerald.
I'm gonna put some tape and you get outside the tape.
That's a good idea. What about is this pad okay?
No.
Is it?
Hang on.
I didn't move the pad, or you moved it. Well, tell me I'm moving out of.
Be on the pad.
Okay.
Just don't move the pad.
And now that's my tape mark is my pad. Okay, I printed this on my laser printer. I'm going to put this on the block of wood, and this is a blender you can get from Dick Blick or Michael's. So any office supply place or any arts place. And I use this some on my carving, and it works pretty good on the piercing. And all I'm doing is pressing this stuff on here. And what it does, only on the laser printer, it will remove the ink off of here and put it on, transfer it onto the block of wood. This is called a blender. You go anywhere that sells any kind of pencils, art pencils or pens, and get a blender, and it will transfer the pattern onto the wood. And you can only use it one time. After that, you have to throw it away. Throw away the pattern. It's not going to come, the ink's not going to come back out. Or you can do the same thing we did in a carving class. Some of y'all have been there, is I cut out the leaf on this material called shower pan liner. So I cut out my own pattern, my own leaf pattern, like this. Am I still am I in the square? I'm okay? So the shower pan liner is actually a material that goes under your shower when the contractors are building a home. And that goes, you cut that out, it's very flexible, it'll last you forever. And then you just trace out your leaf pattern and you can go from there. So this is a trick I got from Ben Foe. This is what he used right here. And he would pierce everything in between the black lines. So you can do numerous things with that.
If you do that, does that ink sand back off?
Yes. Very easy.
So it doesn't penetrate the wood much?
It does not. It's very, in fact, you can probably, I think I have an eraser somewhere, and probably just erase it right off. And I'm sure I have one, but it's just not here. Anyway, it does come right off. It sands right off. We have options. Y'all want me to actually carve on this leaf, or just start carving on any leaf? What would y'all want to see? No matter. How long you guys gonna stay awake?
That's why we turn the heat down.
If I'm gonna carve on a leaf, I want to carve this leaf out, and I'm gonna leave this solid. If that was my choice, that's what I want to do. What I'm gonna do is,
Is that a hollow disc?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just one that it's like same thing we did on the carving, except this is very, very thin. And it's warped. You see, it's not gonna, yeah. It warped a little bit. But if I carve a leaf in here, it would sit on a stand and you wouldn't know it was carved. Warped. I'm gonna try to pencil my veins in here. And Larry, again, this is something that you said you worried about how hard this is going to be to do. It's not going to be hard, okay? I'm going to draw my veins in here, but I'm going to draw the vein, both sides of the vein. Got to have something in here for it to hold your leaf together. That's all I'm going to do. Now, like I said, 28 to 32 PSI is what this is running, and what it takes to run it, and it's going to be running about 320, 350,000 RPM. So it's it's hard to imagine it's going this fast, but to give you an idea of how quick it is, and it doesn't know the difference between wood and finger, so you want to be careful with that. So it's going to go through pretty quick. So I'll just start piercing some of this, and when I start piercing, I don't want to make, if I start piercing way out here, I'm not blocking it, my hand's not blocking anything, good. I don't want to start way out here and come to my line with a point and come out that way. I want to use this line as a border. So I actually want to start on the line. Does that make sense, what I've just said? I want the longest part of my piercing to run along wherever my border is.
Let's see if I can get down a little bit lower here.
I can magnify it, you don't have to move the camera.
Well, it's in the shadow, I'm trying to get it so.
Well, I see my question is answered. Nobody stole my air compressor.
Yeah.
Now, the brush is to clean the bit.
Yes, yeah, especially on cherry. The resin off the cherry, what gets on the burr, and
That's brass bristle,
sir.
brass bristle.
Yes, it's brass bristle. Very, very fine, very, very thin brass. And it, Rio Grande, Rio Grande, Rio Grande, however you pronounce that, yeah. Yeah, they have these brushes. I cut the handle off of it and screwed some Velcro in the back of it so it fit my hand. Nobody has to use these am I the only person here that has to use a magnifier glass? Good, I feel better. Okay, after I'm gonna make this cut. I'm going clockwise. If you'll notice, when I get right there, I'm gonna turn around and go counterclockwise. And that cleans the carbon off of the wood itself. It cleans it up. If I don't do it, you can see the buildup in there. So I'm going counterclockwise, and it's going to remove and clean it up. Each hole. As I do a hole, I'll go around that hole while I'm there. Wow, I'm getting smoked out here. And if you don't clean your brush or don't clean your burr very much, it really it gets worse and worse. And it's kind of like a sharp tool. Then you can tell, because when you start your next hole, it's harder to push. Now, I'm not going to do this for all day long because I know I'll hear some snoring. Already? Hey, I tell this story a lot, and it's a funny story, and I'm going to tell it again. Some of you already heard it. I'm sorry. But I was doing a demo in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a nighttime demo. And there was a guy sitting right there where David is, right in front of my carving table. He was a huge guy, wore big coveralls, overalls. He was about 6'6", just a mountain man. And as soon as I sat down and started carving, I heard this noise, and I looked over there, and he had his chin down, and he was sawing some logs. I mean, sound asleep. And some of the other guys chuckled and says, "Don't worry about him. He does that every demo." So he was sound asleep and did that all the way through the demo. He slept.
You remember Willis Johnson used to do the same thing?
Yep. But this man snored and snored and snored, and in fact, he was just grunting and snoring. I mean, they were all laughing because he's in such a good sleep. But the funny thing is, when I got through my demo, and I said, "That completes the demo," and they started clapping. That guy came up to me and said, shook my hand and said, "We're so glad to have you. It's the best demo we've had in a year." You know, he didn't see a bit of it. He didn't see not 1 minute of it. You know. best sleep he's had all year. Yeah, he took one heck of a nap, man. I'm telling you. I think they fed the club before, before the demo, so he was. Yeah, he was doing some serious sleeping. Well, I forgot to do one thing. It's okay. Okay, I'm gonna finish this little section of this leaf right here. You know what, Phil? I hate to say it, we might have could have completed this during the.
You see all the smoke coming up there as you get old.
Yes, I can breathe it. I'm breathing it. That's not good.
I turned the heat back on over there to try to get the fan to circulate some air in here, but I'm not sure it's helping.
As I'm turning this piece, Gerald, am I messing you up? You see how fast this goes. I'm not going any faster or any slower than I do at home. What do you think, Larry? uh, I've got another piece here that I had started some. I have a little box. It's like a little fan right here on my table. That's a smoke extractor, and it's for sucking cigarette smoke or whatever into this filter, this charcoal filter. And
Do you smoke at home?
no, I don't smoke at all. Never have. But I watched a demo one time, and this person had this up there, and you can see the smoke just going. It's like a dust collector. It just sucks it in there and stays in that charcoal filter. So I used that just so you can see the smoke just come up and just dance its way into the
Yeah, they make
into the filter.
soldering too.
For what?
Soldering
Yeah.
to draw the smoke away if you're doing some electrical work soldering.
You can actually get the charcoal filters and put them on a little fan.
You could, yeah, whatever. Anything that would, the charcoal is what catches it, so that's what's good. I was looking, I had another piece here that, oh, there it is. It's this guy right here. Thank you, sir. So can you see the little doodads the little circles on here I've got in pencil? Are they showing up? That's kind of like, I think I have, no, I don't guess I do. Maybe that goblet over there might have some of this pattern to it. But all I'm doing here, I just made a circle. I'm just doing a cloud. I don't know what you call it, but it's just not a circle. But I'm staying away about 1/8 of an inch from each circle is about 1/8 of an inch apart. So the space in between there just separates and makes a border. And I'm trying not to do the same shape twice. I think this is probably more boring than carving. Yeah, that's kind of what, that's exactly what this is. That's what I was looking for. It wasn't over there, yeah. Yeah, so that's exactly what this one will end up looking like, something like that. There's no pattern, there's no uniqueness to it. I mean, it's just, I just took my pencil and just randomly made a little cloud and yes.
Did you do that after or before you?
Yes, I did it after. And I'm getting ready to do that now. I think I may have enough of a border. No, I don't really, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna take, I don't know what number of burr this is. I think I bought 2, 4, 6, and 8. I think this looks like maybe a 6. It's not the biggest that I had. But I'm gonna go in between. To answer Phil's question, I would go ahead and cut circles all around here and do all of the piercing, and then this little line in between would be plain. But I would come back in here and just do let's say we'll start right here. I would just do a dot, dot, dot texture.
Is this a round ball?
It is. And it kind of burns. It does really well on cherry. It darkens it. It darkens the texture. And when you put your finish on here, it really, really looks a lot different than anything else because it's not as smooth and sanded. You have to be careful that if you have to. What I'm doing right here, I don't want to be on this. I don't want to make a wagon track. I don't want to stay on this line and go like this all the way around it because it's going to look like you're going to be able to see the wagon track. So I want to sneak up on that line. So I'm back in the middle. I'm on the line, middle line, kind of easing up to it all the way around. If I stay on that line all the way around there, you're going to be able to tell that I walked that line, and I don't want that to be noticeable. It's not something you're going to do in an hour and a half. So if you're looking for instant gratification, this and carving is not it. But it does makes some different looking Christmas ornaments. Did y'all see the egg that I turned thin? Did y'all look at that egg over there?
Yes, is it an egg?
It's a buzzard egg. A buzzard egg.
Buzzard.
Yes.
Where'd you get a buzzard?
Out of my deer stand. Yep. Yep. It really is. It is a buzzard a buzzard egg. No, I blew it out. I didn't suck it, but I did. I blew it out. I took this little guy right here, the burr I was just using, and put maybe a 1/8 hole in this end of it, turned it upside down, and did the same thing on this end, and took one of those straws that you stir your coffee with, and I stuck it in there and kind of broke the yolk up really, really good, and then using the end of the straw that was sticking out, I started blowing, and I blew. It just blows everything. It just blows the egg out of that hole. And then I washed it out real good and cleaned it up, and then I started piercing it. But that is a real buzzard egg. We had to Buddy and I ran the buzzard out of our deer stand too.
Did the membrane left on the inside matter?
A little bit, but a lot of it comes on out. Once I'm done with the piercing, once I pierce it, it's flaky, and I take my air hose at a distance because I don't want to blow through it. But if I blow it, it'll blow all that little membrane, all those little flakes. It'll blow them all out of there.
So they dry up and
Yeah, they just dry up and just curl up. Yeah, but that's actually a buzzard egg. Yep. And the holoform, I turn my holoforms either green or dry wood. It doesn't matter. And when I turn the sphere, I take a 1/8 drill bit, and I have a little collar that I made out of a 1/4-inch dowel rod, and that is on. I drill a hole through it, so that fits on my.
you didn't see it.
Yeah. So the little collar, the little sleeve fits on my 1/8 drill bit, and I can adjust it to where only 1/8 of an inch or 3/32 of the drill bit is sticking out. And I will drill. Once I've turned the body of the holoform, egg. Oh yeah, I was going to do that too. Thank you. Once I drill holes in there in a few places, that gives me my depth, and then I hollow it out. So then when the hole appears, I know I'm at the right depth. So that's how I measure the inside of my Christmas ornaments, to get thin enough to pierce. And I brought this again. I brought this last month. This texture is done using these two burrs that I just used. The black texture is just this, since this is thick, a lot thicker than this, it doesn't go all the way through. So I just did my little zigzags with the straight 6.99, and then came back with this little sphere and did the dot in between the black line. So it's a good texturing tool as well.
Well, the black lines to me seem like they were raised, but they're actually recessed.
They're recessed, yeah. Yep, they are recessed.
You said that black from the burning.
The black is from the burning of the cherry, yeah. If I had a thick enough piece, well, I got one right here. Oh, I got to catch this guy because this really snaps out. I've got a piece right here. I'll use my jam chuck. I was thinking about that this morning. What am I gonna do that with? So I've got the number 6.99, which is at tapered burr.
Kenny, I can get your block of wood out here.
I'm okay. I'm good right here. If y'all can you see it? Can everybody see it okay on the camera? I'm not going to do anything special. You can tell I do not pencil these in. Okay, now you can tell, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this burr is beginning to get quite a bit of buildup, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to push. Okay, so I probably went a 1/16 or better deep. And then I'm going to go back to the round burr, and the size of the burr, the smaller you go, the longer it's going to take, but the tighter the texture is, and it really looks pretty good. And I went to a smaller burr than what I had last time. Am I okay, Gerald?
Yes.
I don't want Gerald to get on to me anymore.
You're leaning it over so we can see.
And the side of the ball is what does the cutting, more so than the end of it. So all I'm doing is just a dot, and trying to stay inside that line. And I barely can see this because it's eye level. I do this in my recliner that's in my shop, and it's more so in my lap, so I can see it a lot better. And this brush will clean that up, and you have a different texture that, I'm sorry. A different.
You can't really see the texture, we just see the black lines.
But, so now you can see there is a texture there. So it the black line burns in the cherry, and it doesn't burn as well in other kinds of wood. If you were to do a maple, it would cut the line, but it probably wouldn't burn it. The resin in the cherry really burns well. It really does burn good.
So when you're not piercing all the way through, you're going with the
through, you're like filling it in and not focusing on outlines? Weird question.
Say that again.
So if that one was piercing all the way through, as you were drawing it around, it would just all fall through.
Right,
It'd be one big
right. Just like on this, yeah. Yeah, if it's thin, it's just going to fall through. But if it's thick, I'm just creating a line. That's all I'm doing. And people think, when I took it to the symposium in Nashville 2 weeks ago, everybody says, how did you get your wood burner to go up and down those valleys? Because if you notice, on this, it's also carved. I carved the flutes in there first. So they saying, how did you get the wood burner to go up and down the flow of those and keep it all equal? Well, I didn't use the wood burner. So it throws them a curve. They don't know that this actually works as a good texturing tool, but it does. But it does.
How long did it take you to do that piece?
I don't know. It took me just the texturing by itself, just the texturing, not counting the turning the hollow form or doing the flutes. Just the texture probably took. I'm doing another one now, so I'm trying to see how far along. Probably 3 days just on the texture. That's 3 pretty much full days until my back and my neck and my hands get tired and I quit and do something else. So yeah, it's not quick. Well, you saw how far I went here, and there's a lot of little bitty zigs and zags in there, so it takes a long time.
Does grain of your wood affect your tool in a way?
No, it's going so fast. I'm glad you asked that question. This thing is going so fast, it doesn't have any idea which way the grain's going. If your finger's in the way or the wood's in the way, it don't matter. It's gonna cut. And I have put holes in my fingers by doing the texturing and holding it like this and forget my fingers under there. And then it's just like a needle, hot needle. It's just, come on in, gentlemen. It's just like a hot needle. So it's hot. It's very hot. Okay, I've done a little bit of piercing. I could do some more piercing, but I don't think y'all want to watch a whole bunch of more piercing, do you?
You basically did a piercing with one bit.
The piercing is, I'm using one style of bit. That's the number 699 for the piercing, which is that tall, the long, this long one right here.
And it's tapered.
And it's tapered. Yeah, it's tapered.
Is that the same, look in that box there, is that the same as the ones I had? No, I'm sorry, what you had there, that bag there?
No, yours are diamond.
They're diamond?
They're all diamond, yeah.
So what does that mean?
That means it's not going to cut as good as this. It's going to clog up. That resin's really going to.
Clog up mine.
You'll be use one of yours? Can I ruin one of yours?
So those yours are actually fluted?
They are. They are. They're made like the birds on our carbon.
Okay.
On our carbon too. They're fluted. I'm not really sure. Y'all gonna have to put your glasses on to see this thing.
Speaking of that, what kind of magnifiers are those? Where'd you get them?
Woodcraft, any wood store, they're OptiVisor, OPTI visor, and you can get these things in different numbers. I'm gonna do this real quick before I forget this. Phil, I'm gonna practice on this leaf right here. Let's see what your bird will do. Hey, I'm surprised. It didn't clog it up.
Okay.
And it cut great. It cut great. I would have figured it would.
That was a package of 100, I think I got, 100 or 50, I can't remember. And Dave and I split those, actually, we shared. So again, I mean, that's how you save costs.
Yeah.
Find someone that wants to share with you.
If you go to goburrs.com and place an order, they will send you a big 3x3 poster of every single burr they have. And I have a couple of those where I've kept them, and they're probably this wide, really, and this big, and it folds up. It's all in a nice little package. But they really want you to keep that in your doctor's office or your dentist's office so you can buy some burrs. But they've got every different kind that you can think of. But if you get up one of these, or what Phil's got, and Gerald's got one of these, you want to make sure you get the FG, which is friction grip. They have different other kinds that has little rings in them, and they have little snap rings inside your pieces here. But the friction grip is what you really need.
How many burrs would you go through to pierce that little bowl in front of your bag or anything?
I use the same burr to do that entire hollow form. If that'll give you, that's a lot of cutting that I did right there, and that burr cost me $1. 99 cents for 100 of them. So, 99 cents a piece if you buy the 100. So that didn't cost very much. The unit is what it cost you.
I looked up the NSK on eBay while we were talking, like Phil and I have.
You weren't paying attention?
$15. Yeah, well, I ignored you. Since you've already taught me this before.
$15 for this?
No, for mine, like mine.
Yours, okay. Whoa, okay.
So if you want to try this, his is probably easier to use, because it is different having it 90 degrees.
Well,
If you just want to try it before you invest a lot of money, that's the way to do it.
does anybody want to try it today?
Come on up, step on down.
Is that okay? Can we do that?
Yeah.